What's going on, guys? I'm actually going to do a back-to-back video on a project. Isn't that amazing and awesome? It's been a little bit slow in the shop. I've got 1,000 things going on, but I did get the body done, and we're going to walk you into restoring the body today. It is a less than player's grade body now at this point, but I got it fixed. I got it cleaned up. I had to remove some mammoth bridge posts. I've got one of the best memes ever, at least for guitars now. But we'll get you into this video and show you how I did it. So I posted this reel on Instagram, and it actually is my most popular reel now. But I'm using industrial scissors, so thicker scissors. I need a flat piece of metal to get this out, and the scissors work the best. If you use tippy pliers, they have an angle to them, and I needed something really flat to pull these up. The StewMac tool was not going to do it, but you can see how incredibly big these are here. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and clean up some of the glue, some of the industrial glue that was left over. Just scrape this out. And then an interesting bit here. Did you know that the 2550 Les Pauls have a maple veneer to make the maple top just slightly thicker? Did not ever realize that. All right, so then we're going to get some acetone and clean up the glue a little bit more. Scraping it did a lot. Just using the acetone to break it down a little bit more. I want to make sure that I have wood on wood and not old glue on old glue. So just using some acetone to clean that up. We then take some 320 grit sandpaper and begin to clean this up. Way dirty. This thing was disgusting when I got it. Looks like it had sat for years. And then I've got to repair that switch that was moved. And so I found a piece of Eastern Hard Rock maple that has similar color and similar grain. And we're going to tap out a 1/4 inch plug right here. Pop that out. And then just fit it in. And you don't want to use glue on the top side of the piece. You'll get sort of like a glue line, which is worse than the circle that's going to show up anyway. So I use just a really tiny bit of glue on the back side to hold it. And then I sort of chisel at it, tape it so I don't ruin the finish. And then I'm using 320 grit sandpaper to get it level. A chisel to get a little bit more flush, and then a little bit more sanding, and now it's flat. But then you're going to use some toothpicks to cover up where the Bigsby was. And then we're going to drill out where the original 1/4 inch coil tap was. So we get a reamer, clean it out, real easy to do. And then we're going to just trim where I put the toothpicks for covering up that Bigsby hole. I didn't think I was going to do this much work. Originally, I think the owner said he didn't need to have it perfect, but as I got into it, I was like, oh, we got to do it. It's time to do it right. Make sure it's flat, sand it. Make sure all those pieces are clean. And again, just get that body clean. There was so much junk on this, it was disgusting. Scrape the back. There are a lot of scratches in the back. So I'm using the razor blade to try and sort of level them a little bit better before I sand. So then I made a cap on the back side of where that 1/4 inch hole was, and I just want to cap it so it doesn't move. So you can see the piece of tape that I used to sort of size that hole, and then I just filled it with that wood and glue and made sure that it looks right. So trying to get back to the right size. So then next we have to pull out the filled holes, and this was actually done really nicely. Whoever did this was a pro. So we're going to drill this out with a 1/4 inch, and then we're going to come back and start picking at it with an X-Acto. And the reason I'm doing this is that I want to score that line where the wood is, so that way it doesn't rip the lacquer out. So that's the X-Acto blade, and I'm just going around where the hole is and I'm pulling it out. So we're going to drill it out a little bit more, a little bit slow and back and forth to get this right. Here I'm actually reversing the drill. I don't want to use it going forward. I want to use it going backwards. That way I'm just pulling it out. My big fear is I'll get tear out using it going down, and it'll rip out the lacquer. So now I've got a chisel, and then I've got a scoring tool, and I'm continuing just to work this line around it so I don't get a huge mess. A little tap, tap, tap. And then once I'm working at it long enough, it actually just pops out. And then the posts that I'm actually putting in here are not as big as the bridge, but for the stop tail, they're just standard Gibson stop tail that I found from WD. So then I get a special bit. Can't even remember what I had to order, a special bit to sort of re-drill this out. It's a weird size. And then we clean it out. And here we're going to tap it in. I've got an old bolt that I cut off the threaded end and is exactly the size of the posts. So I use this on the whiskey barrel guitars. Just checking it out before I pound them in, before I have to reverse them out. Couple taps and we're in. Test it out, make sure that this fits. There we are. That was the original piece. So then here's where things take a turn. I'm using the Stu-Mac Tobacco Vintage Amber and Clear Gloss to fill in the lacquer. I really didn't want to have to spray the body, but the tobacco brown is the exact color for this 2550, and at the neck there was just a little bit of a line that needs to be filled in, and then I was hoping that this would sort of cover up the coil split, and it did not. This looked terrible, actually. I was really not happy with it. I knew if I'd put a clear coat over it, it would look even worse. But it really did a nice job on the pinholes, screw holes for the Bigsby. So you have to do like 3 or 4 coats, and this is where nitro is 1,000 times better than any other finish because it's repairable. I really like doing this. This was actually a pleasurable part of this project. The lacquer blends, you spray it, and you're good. So I didn't really like the way it looked on the body, and I needed to sort sort of sand off and start over. So there you see it sanded off. Just didn't look right. We're gonna go ahead and tape it, and we're gonna get an airbrush and airbrush it. So we're actually gonna take the tobacco brown and put it into a airbrush. And I didn't want to mix a custom color because this was spot on. So we just spray it so it looks slightly better. And no matter what you do, guys, on a finished body, you're going to get a ring because the way the lacquer is going to sit. And I've done it on a number of guitars. At least this way I know how to manage it. And again, I'm not looking for perfect, but I'm looking for hiding it. So we put a couple coats on. See how we look. Not bad. A little bit hidden. A little bit ring starting to form. That was vintage amber we drop on there. Just to color it slightly. Sand it off. Here now it's hidden pretty well. And then we have some clear lacquer we use to start sealing it up. We do about 6 coats because we're going to have to sort of re-level it down anyway. I had to cover up those post holes, getting lacquer in there. And then we're going to add a little bit of brown. I didn't like the exact color that was looking like, so we add a little bit of brown just to get it look like it was resprayed. So we tape off and just add like 3 clicks at it just to get it to fade a little better. Come back and sand the sides, pull out some of the dents. Like I said, this is slightly worse than player's grade, but we want to get it so that it looks nice, so we can buff the whole body when we're done. And really I just have to refinish the neck, so gonna go with some hide glue to put the neck back on. Get a nice brush and brush it all over. Should have taped off the body and the neck slightly. It's my bad. Not sure why I didn't do that. Pop it in. It is tight. You don't want that neck too tight because once the glue gets in there, the wood swells and it's a disaster. But it was tight. So just to make sure you guys know. And then I'm clamping with a 12-inch radius caul, and then I put 3 or 4 clamps on here. Make sure that it's actually sitting flat. And then the one negative thing about this neck, which is why they spray that sort of jazz guitar on the bottom, is that they do use a little bit of filler where there's some gapping on the bottom of the neck. Didn't realize that until after I put this on, that there was just a touch of filler they use. So we add just some filler, sand it down, and we're good to go. So that is the body restore of the 2550. I got the neck in, and I'm actually just testing out some of the different samples. That'll be the next video. That'll take a little bit longer to complete because I've got to let the neck dry before I can buff it. But we are making progress, and we are getting ready for a ship date in September sometime. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next video.